You got it, you got it, you just don't know you got it. You got it all inside of you. It's inside, you got it, you got it. Let me help you to spot it. You've got it all inside of you. This world can be a prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain. Before the ways of the worldly blind you, allow me to take this time to remind you, in the same place that your hurt resides, you can find heaven and healing right inside you. And if you need help, let me guide you past the lies that you're aligned to, till you're redesigned to find truth in the beauty I see inside you. This world can be your prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain.
Let's go.
The lighthouse, guiding the righteous is all that I'm about. And now I'll be doing it till my light's out and my time's out. I'm only passing on lessons that I received from those steering me in the right route. They always said I was fly, but that I had to believe in my wings to touch the skies. Got the guts to try, possess a lust for life, required for me to do more than just get by. And now I see you in the distance, amongst the misfits, in the mist that clouds your vision of all the gifts that God gave you when he made you, along with the stars, moons, the planets, and sun rays that raised you. So through the fog of our mediocrity, I'm shining this little light for all to see. You already possess your own fresh, but if you have trouble finding it, just call on me. This world can be a prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain. This world can be your prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain.
Yeah, yes. Good afternoon, I should say. And for my people,
I want to talk to you today.
Okay, how come I don't see myself? Give me a second, y'all. How do I
get
flip
what
this
you
thing
want.
on?
What you
I
have
don't
to
see
do
myself in
is
my line.
lose your no I can mind and find your yes I can mind.
Yo,
you
y'all,
got to
trying to
lose
figure out what's
one
going
of
on.
these
Oh,
minds. And which one of
what
these
can I
minds
see
is
out
it
there?
that you have to lose to get what you want?
Oh,
The no I
turn it
can
on.
mind.
There we go.
Staring at your greatness.
What's going on, everybody out
just a
there?
little crazy, just a little scared.
All
Leaning on
right,
your logic,
getting
keeping
this
you
set
from your
up.
cares. Just a little
Still
crazy,
got a few
just a little
minutes.
scared.
Feel
That no
free
one
to
see
share.
that you stay and never dare.
You know what I'm
To move
saying?
beyond
Tell
the
a few
box that
friends
the devil
before we
has
get started.
prepared. Your friends and your folks were raised and played
Yes,
there,
yes,
so it's
y'all.
all they ever known and all they have to share. Few to try to push you, many to
You got to
keep
go to
you there.
YouTube. I'll
Just
be
a
sharing
little
the full
crazy,
screen.
just a
If
little
you're on
scared.
IG, you can go to
Chances of
YouTube. If
choice and
not,
curses
sit
living your
back,
cares.
relax,
Just a
listen
little
up,
crazy,
and I hope
just
you
a little
enjoy.
scared. A state
All
of
right.
stagnation with no flash
Y'all
of
booed
flare.
it.
Days are all the
SA in
same
the
with
building.
no glow or glare.
You
The
already
sickness
know.
insecures you when fears are all shared.
Man,
With
tell
very
a
few
friend,
crazy,
share
but many
this.
are just scared. The
Sweating.
status quo's tragic, but lingers in the air, blocking the blessings that await you upstairs. There's only one way that you can go from here. Just a little crazy, just a little scared. You promise that the process breeds if you can bear. To give chase, it awaits all who dare to run it
If
down
you'd
and
like to
grab
see
it,
the video
regardless
or
of the
whatnot,
fears.
you can go to
Blessing those crazy
YouTube,
enough to
Sobriety
feel
in
scared.
Black.
So I'll fight on until
Make sure you
I write all
subscribe.
wrongs from the
All right.
daytime until the night lights on. I'ma
Got
take
about
flight
2
'cause
minutes
it's the
to
right
get
time
started.
for me to write and enlighten the minds I've
Drop a
spawned.
good
Show
word or
up,
two
grow
on
up,
you.
and glow up. Rearrange reality and
All
sicken
right.
my enemies till they throw up. Trapped in their own
Oh,
minds
let's
while I
see.
glow up.
If you like to drop a comment, let me know where you at. Hey, good afternoon, my brother.
Evidence ain't as real
Shout
as it
out.
appears. When you drown out
I
doubt
try
and
and
blood,
keep my
sweat,
eye
and
on these
tears,
comments.
focus
If
on
you
your
got any
goal, a way to be
questions,
made clear. So
you know
visualize
what
all
I'm
the
saying,
victories
about
that
what
you
I
want
talk
to see,
about, we can
and what
do
your
that.
mind projects is what you're gonna see. On the screen displaying your lifetime, you'll find that it projects what originates in the mind.
This
Topic.
used to be a movie house.
2 pass, y'all. 2 pass.
Way back
All right.
up there.
We started about a minute and a
Somewhere
half.
is
A minute and a
projector.
half for
They
my
never
IG
took
folks.
the projector out.
Shout out to everybody on
Here is a
Facebook.
big screen that we've used 2 or 3 times.
All right.
What you see on that screen does not originate on that screen. What you see on the screen originates where? In the projector. So you see, what you are experiencing on the screen of your life does not originate on the screen. If you don't like what's on the screen, it doesn't do any good to get mad with the screen. See, if you see something on that screen that you don't like, you can go up there with a knife and just cut it to pieces. But what would happen? It would reflect on the back wall. If you want to change what is on the screen of experience, you have to go up to the projector of mind. What I see
About
with
40 more
my
seconds.
inner eye has power to displace and replace that which is in my outer world. The film in the projector is greater than the image on the screen. If you want to change the image on the screen, you got to go back up to the projector and change the film. What is that? The thought. What you see out there is really controlled by what you're seeing in here.
Yes, yes. Projector of mind is important. All right, let's get this. All right. Welcome. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday, enjoying their Sunday. Let me share this instead. All right. My name is Sanif Satterfield with Sobriety in Black, author of the book Sobriety in Black. Of course, you can pick that book up on Amazon and at sobrietyinblack.com. As y'all know, every week, with the exception of last week, every Sunday I do a SOS. This is Sermons on Sobriety. For those that know, I am a consummate reader, so I'm always reading books, especially the holy books and other books, and grab information from these texts and, from my own text and life, things that I think are pertinent to sobriety and self-care. And then I present what I find to you guys and my personal thoughts and commentary. But I'm always open for any comments or, hey, Milwaukee, Wisconsin's in the building. Glad to have you here. I'm out here in Dallas, Texas, by the way. So, presenting that to you and hopefully giving you something, some news you can use, something to pour into you. Like to shout out everybody on Facebook, my Facebook family, shout out to my YouTube family, and shout out to everybody on IG. All right. So I'm going to get into it. As you can see, the title of this particular sermon on sobriety, SOS, is To Pass. All right. And I'm going to be referring to a couple of texts. The first one being the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu text. They have many, but this is a Hindu text. It's actually a story about a man on the battlefield who is speaking with a spiritual entity, and he basically gets advice on how he should deal with this battle and the conflicts that he has, the internal conflicts that he has. And anybody who's struggled for any form of self-care, self-improvement, sobriety, in my case, dealing with alcoholism. I am 11 years sober, 11 years alcohol-free, very proud of it. And all of us are dealing with something that we want to either stop, something unhealthy that we want to stop, or something healthy that we're trying to establish in our life, a habit of some sort. And so the information that I'm going to present is something that I believe can help you in that regard. So today we're going to be talking about the two paths, and this was inspired by a couple of things. First, the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 8, verse 20, the chapter 8 is about the eternal Godhead, is the title of the chapter. And they kind of talk about within the Bhagavad Gita, which is where terms like yoga come from, yogi and all of that. A lot of us think of yoga as just doing a bunch of poses, but there's a very spiritual side to it. It really is talking about, when you're talking about yoga, you're talking about aligning your worldly physical self with the cosmos, in a sense, your spiritual self, and getting alignment. And in a sense, when you think about it, all religious texts, one way or another, the purpose is to get you back in alignment, get your worldly self, your imperfect worldly self, back in alignment with your righteous Holy Spirit, right? Basically, you're actually trying to get back to that perfect self, for lack of a better term. And when I mean perfect, I don't mean perfect as in necessarily infallible, but the self as in the way you were created before you got into a physical body, your soul. And that's what the Bhagavad Gita really is talking about, is that battle to get back to that place. And so when you think about sobriety, right, when you think about that, it's like, say, in my case with alcoholism, I wasn't born an alcoholic. I, in my perfect, using the free will, right, decided to become an alcoholic. I decided to take in these things that I got addicted to, right? So in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to start with reading. It's chapter 8, verses 22 and 23. All right. I'm going to actually share screen real quick here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, perfect. I'm going to kind of read from the beginning. Matter of fact, let me do this. Before I do this, I want to actually share. Hold on. Let me stop sharing this. I'm going to play this video. I can't remember the man's name, but he talks about yoga and the significance, what yoga actually means.
In a roundabout way. The yogic science has been talking about.
Here we go.
So, the word yoga means it is about aligning your individual reality with the cosmic reality, geometrically aligning it in such a way that individual geometry and the cosmic geometry is not different. Today modern science is coming to this in a roundabout way. The yogic science has been talking about it forever. That is, the fundamental design of what is atomic and what is cosmic is not different. It is only different in its complexity and sophistication, but the fundamental design is same. So if the fundamental design is same, if you align this, you can sit here and experience the whole universe as yourself. If this happens, then we call your
Just realized my mic was muted for all my folks on Facebook. So I'm going to read, this is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verses 17 through 23. So I'm going to read it straight through, and then I'm going to provide some context. All right. And so when you think of cosmic, think of spiritual. All right. And that's kind of how they talk about it, your cosmic reality as opposed to your worldly reality, and trying to get those both together. So from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, it goes like as such. Those who understand the cosmic laws know that on the day of Brahma ends after 1,000 yugas, and the night of Brahma ends after 1,000 yugas. When the day of Brahma dawns, forms are brought forth from the unmanifest. When the night of the Brahma comes, these forms merge into the formless again. This multitude of beings is created and destroyed again and again in succeeding days and nights of Brahma. But beyond this formless state, there is another unmanifested reality, which is eternal and is not dissolved when the cosmos is destroyed. Those who realize life's supreme goal know that I am unmanifest and unchanging. Having come home to me, they never return to separate existence. This Supreme Lord who pervades all existence, the true self of all creatures, the true self of all creatures, may be realized through undivided love. There are two paths, Arjuna, which the soul may follow at the time of death. One leads to rebirth and the other to liberation. Okay? The two paths, rebirth and liberation. Now, when we think about the word rebirth, we have to be very careful because in the Christian tradition, rebirth has a meaning. When we look at rebirth from the Christian standpoint, we look at renewal of the mind, right? Christ gives us we're reborn in Christ, all of that. But when we're talking about it here from this standpoint, it's a little bit different. And that's why I said in the thing that it may seem like these texts disagree, but they actually agree. And as a communications professor, I always tell my students a lot of times you can have two people talking about this using the same word, but they're talking about two different meanings. And this is a lot of the keys to a lot of misunderstanding. Okay, a lot of misunderstanding. And so we have to go through this in order to better understand what they mean when we talk about rebirth versus liberation. If you look at it from the Christian tradition, they talk about being reborn in Christ is a form of liberation, right? You're being set free. And that's not wrong when looking at it through that lens. When we're looking at it through the Hindu lens based off of this text here, right? Oh, okay. Somebody said they can't hear me, but that must be old. Sorry, guys. From the Bhagavad Gita, okay, we're going to look here again. This is where it says, the Supreme Lord who pervades all existence, the true self of all creatures. This is actually what we're trying to get back to. May be realized through undivided love. What love is that? That's love of self. So when we're talking about our sobriety, when we're talking about trying to really be reborn in, rebirthing ourselves in sobriety, we're really going back to who we used to be before addiction got a hold of us, right? Then here again, it says, there are two paths. Arjuna, who's the main character, he's the protagonist in the story. And his spiritual advisor, actually God, is telling him there are two paths which the soul may follow at the time of death. In our case, with regards to the lens of sobriety, we're talking about the death of our addiction, which is what we're on a mission to do: kill our addiction, end it. Right? Death is nothing but an ending. Right? One leads to rebirth, one leads to liberation. Now, from the sobriety standpoint, this is what I want you to do to really make this very easy for you: rebirth, relapse. Rebirth in the sense of what we're talking about here, the two paths, right? Rebirth or relapse and liberation. Liberation in sobriety. All right. So when you look at the word rebirth, you're looking at it from the standpoint of this, because in the Hindu tradition, what they say is, when you die, you're in a sense reincarnated to try to solve the problem that you did not deal with to begin with. You don't get to go to heaven. You stay on earth, you reborn again to try it again. What is the saying? What does the saying say? Hold on. Where's the saying? Hold on. Where's it? Boom. Think about it from this standpoint. From Nicholas Claremont, those who do not learn from history are bound to do what? Repeat it. That's what they mean when they talk about rebirth. Just like a video game. When you die, boom, you don't learn how to get through it. What happens? Doom, 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 doom. Get another life, right? You're reborn, but you're actually reborn to retry that level again. That's how in the Hindu tradition, based off the Bhagavad Gita, that's what they mean when they're talking about rebirth or liberation. Liberation is when you win the game. You don't come back to the game. You're done. That level is passed, right? Once you pass that level, you don't go back to repeat it. You may go to another level, that being, having eternal life, right? But you're not reborn. You are liberated from that level. You have freed yourself from it. Sobriety, right? Every day we have to continue, right? To earn our liberation in being mindful. All right. So when they're talking about rebirth, what they're saying is, hey, sober slogans, what's going on? Peace, peace. They're talking about getting a redo, doing it again. I tell my kids, what do we put on this earth to do? Solve problems. Why? Because we brought them here. We brought problems here. In the Christian tradition, where they say, Eve, the apple, you screwed up. All right, well, you stay down here. I'm going to give you free will as to whether you want to solve them or not, right? Because just as the saying goes, even God doesn't stand in the way of free will. God could make us all robots and say, hey, everybody's going to do the right thing. But what he says is, you know what? You got a choice. I'll give you some clues, some hints. Sobriety, I'm going to give you some clues, some hints, put you around some people. You can go to these meetings. You got all, the internet. You got all access to all this information, but you've got to choose to make the right decision. If you make the right decision, you'll be free indeed. If not, you can try it again and again. You relapse. You go a year with no drink, no alcohol, or no drugs, or whatever it is you're addicted to, no sugar, no, dealing with this toxic individual, going back to this toxic individual, this person that's beating you half to death. If you're in an abusive relationship, right? I just watched the Netflix special, Killer Sally. It's about the lady Sally McNeil and Ray McNeil, weightlifters, actually, or bodybuilders, I should say. And you can see it on Netflix. It's a real good special. She ends up killing her husband, who was like a world-renowned, on his way to become a world-renowned bodybuilder. And she said, she did it because he was abusing her. She ended up, I won't ruin it. I definitely would tell you to check it out. But it's just like if you're in a negative relationship with, you got say you're a wife, you got a husband that beats you. You get beat, you say, I'm leaving, you leave. He convinces you to come back. Well, now you're reborn again to try it again. Get beat again. You leave, you come back. You're in a sense being reborn in the same, it's like Groundhog Day, doing it over and over again. You relapse over and over again until you free yourself, until you do the things necessary to free yourself, right? So in this case, rebirth, you're reincarnated in order to attempt to address the same worldly problem again. Hopefully you don't do the same things over and over again. We've talked about what's insanity, trying to solve a problem by doing the same thing over and over again. And if it don't work, you never solve that problem. What's liberation? In this context, liberation is a life free from the need to deal with the problem that no longer exists, right? Dealing with the problem that no longer exists. In our case, it's continuing to make, alcoholism, in my case, a problem that doesn't exist. Alcoholism, I don't drink. I solve my problems without using alcohol. I remain free. I don't walk back to the plantation of addiction. I don't go back. I don't wake up the next day as a slave to my addiction. I get off that plantation and I keep running. And when we talk about, not talking about the Christian tradition, Proverbs 15:21, it says folly, right? Joy. Folly brings joy to one who has no sense, but whoever has understanding keeps a straight course. Straight, that means you don't go back. You keep pushing. You're not reborn a fool the next day, right? You're not reborn a fool the next day. You keep on pushing. Your path is straight and not circular. Addiction, it's a circular path. You're angry, you drink, you have problems. You have that problem, you drink again, you're mad at yourself. You drink, right? It's a circular problem. In my book, we call it the drinker's loop, right? The addict's loop. And no matter what your motion it is, you always go back to doing the same thing. And you're doomed to repeat that history over and over again. And you have to start doing different things. You have to start trying other things in order to break that cycle. And that's what they're talking about. That's the road to liberation, right? Okay. And in the case of the Bhagavad Gita, yoga is just aligning your individual or your worldly reality to your cosmic or spiritual reality, your true self. Okay, getting back to your true self, the soul that God created you in before you got here, and through the, allowing of the world and its influence to allow you to make decisions that are not in your best interest, to get you off course of that path, right? Of the path that you were on, the path that God had created for you. And so getting back to it is what's important, right? Okay. Sorry, I'm just sitting here trying to go back and forth. All right. And so one thing I want you to understand when we're talking about addiction, as you're trying to walk on this path, and that relapse is that rebirth. And once you get it right is when you start to lead on that road to liberation, right? Is that your addiction is a narcissist. This word has become very popular, as it should, because humans are very narcissistic. If you think about it, narcissism is almost at the key of a whole lot of sins, dealing with your own, gluttony. Hey, I feel like this. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Maybe not what God has for me. Maybe not what is the right thing to do, but it's what I want to do, right? So when we talk about, what is a narcissist? We always think about narcissists as people, right? So a narcissist can be defined as a person with an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention in a matter of admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. I want you to think about your relationship with your addiction. I want you to think, if your addiction was a person, look at that definition. Does your addiction have an inflated sense of their own importance? Well, the funny thing is, we as addicts, as alcoholic, I gave alcohol an inflated sense of importance. I needed it to do everything. I needed it to have a good time. I needed to deal with a bad time. I needed it when I was bored. I needed it when I was excited. I needed it when I was with women. Needed it when I was hanging with the homies. I needed it when I was by myself. I thought it was very important. I wouldn't drive to go wash clothes without stopping by the liquor store first. An inflated sense of its own importance. We give our addiction that, right? A deep need for excessive attention and admiration. Well, you know what's so funny about alcohol and drugs and all of this? Not only do we give it excessive attention and admiration, you can cut on the radio. You can cut on the radio, you can watch TV, you can go to a sporting event. Shoot, we just saw the Super Bowl. By any boxing event, you can look in the ring. And does it get excessive attention? Yes, these companies pay to give it excessive attention. Then we become addicted to it, and then we give it excessive attention and admiration, right? We'll give our own. I remember when one guy was saying, he was being interviewed, and he talked about, man, I remember when rappers used to talk about being proud to be drug dealers. Now you got rap where people are proud to be junkies. A deep need for excessive attention and admiration. People are proud to be junkies now. Rap about how much drugs they take, I remember I used to brag about how much I could drink. brag about how I had it on me every day. I used to brag about how it could be 4 o'clock in the morning in California where all the bars, everything closes at 2, and I stayed strapped with drink. It was something I was proud of. It was something I got, love for. I could show up, people, oh, we're back to drinking. It's 2:30. Oh, ain't nothing to drink. Hanif showed up. Oh, I know he's got it. And I'd say, yes, I do. And I get the old attaboys for it. Right? So when you think about your addiction, you are in love with an absolute narcissist, an absolute lack of empathy for others, has a lack of empathy for you. Alcohol didn't give a damn if I had to go to work. Alcohol didn't give a damn if I was spending more money on it than myself or taking care of my needs or my children's needs. Alcohol didn't give a damn if me and my wife were fighting, you know what I'm saying, over because I came home super drunk, or because I didn't deal with my life correctly. Alcohol didn't give a damn. It would show up and be like, hey, man, when we gonna get together? What's going on? What's up with me? I ain't worried about what you got going on in your life. Okay. And so when you're dealing with the same way you would deal with a narcissist, it's the same way you would deal with your addiction. All right. And I'm going to play this video. Alcohol used to give me courage too. I depended on alcohol for courage. I depended on alcohol for sex appeal, for game, right? So that I could talk to folks, for social status, for my own identity. I talk about this in my book where it becomes your social identity. You become identified as a drinker. And if you don't have it, you feel like, you don't have a shirt on, or you don't have clothes on, or you didn't comb your hair right. It was a part of who you are, who you were. And so in changing that, you got to change your own identity. And it is a spiritual fight because you're trying to get back to who you were before you became addicted. Before you became addicted to food, drugs, alcohol, a negative relationship, whatever it is. And that toxic relationship, because that toxic relationship with your addiction, okay, in my case, it was alcohol. It was dealing with the narcissist. It would take, wouldn't give me nothing. Maybe a temporary reprieve from problems in my life. Let me adjust my shirt. I'm getting tired of the way this looks. Let me just fold it in like that. All right. But so those are the things I had to deal with. And I would relapse because I relapsed many times. And I was reborn as an alcoholic again, struggling to get on the path of sobriety. Now I'm going to play this video, and this is from a channel I found called The Royal We. And he deals with narcissism. But like I said, your addiction is a narcissist. Your relationship with that addiction is a relationship with a narcissist, right? So these things here, hold on, give me one sec here. Get this banner off. Where's the banner that's showing right now? Okay, got it. All right, let me share this. Give me one sec, y'all. Is it this one? Oh, whoops, hold on. All right, I'm going to share because he gives some good advice here, kind of reaffirming some things that I've said in the past. And put up a link to, here we go. Because when you're dealing with narcissism, a negative relationship, you think about it all the time, right? That's one thing with dealing with the narcissist, because your mind, whether it's thinking about it because you're in love with it or thinking about how much it's hurt you, right? When I separated from alcohol and sobriety in the beginning, I thought about it all the time. I thought about regretting things that I had done, right? The relationships I had destroyed, respect that I had lost in my alcoholism, right? And there were times where I would ruminate on that. There were times when in the beginning, especially, you know, when I started trying to go out and be social without alcohol, it was hard because I'd think about, man, if I could just have one drink right now, I could loosen up. I feel like such a lame because I don't have, you know, the thing I depended on to get me in that social mood. And those are what you call intrusive or ruminating thoughts. You're ruminating on, you know, your relationship with this narcissistic entity, right? Which for me is alcohol. For others, it may be drugs. For others, it may be gambling. For others, it may be food. For others, it may be actual toxic individuals. So this guy here, I forget his name, but the YouTube channel is The Royal We. So I'm gonna play this, and he gives you 3 pieces of advice on 3 steps to start to eliminate these ruminating thoughts. All right.
Narcissistic abuse. As if you weren't punished enough in the toxic relationship, it seems now you're punishing yourself after getting out of a toxic relationship in your own mind by replaying the events and the trauma over and over and over again in your mind. It seems like there's no end to it until now. I know this area all too well, which is why I'm going to share with you 3 steps to eliminate ruminating thoughts. The 3 steps include, number 1, allowing it. Yes, you want to allow them. Number 2, consider your life and what you're not doing. And number 3, plan your steps forward. These 3 things will work together to eliminate ruminating thoughts once and for all. Narcissistic abuse. As if you...
Okay. So he talks about 3 things that you can do, 3 steps you can take to start eliminating the ruminating thoughts, right? When you're thinking about rebirthing and relapsing, or thinking about, you know, instead of walking a straight path, walking a circular one, right? So the first thing he says, let me see, did I type it in here? Let me go ahead and do it. Hold on. Step 1, allow it, right? Let me stop sharing. Hold on, we got it going. Doctor told me that if I continue. That exactly. Somebody said, little piece, just want to stop here real quick, read this comment. I remember when the doctor told me if I continue to drink, I will die or end up on dialysis. Exactly. There's a lot of things about alcohol that we don't know. You know, yeah, we know it's bad for us. A lot of times we don't understand how bad. A lot of our ladies don't understand the connection between alcoholism and drinking alcohol and breast cancer. And I'll be talking about that probably in the next couple of weeks. I think a lot of ladies, if you understood the connection, you definitely would reconsider drinking. All right. You definitely would reconsider drinking. So step 1, as he said, allow it. So when you have these ruminating thoughts about this narcissistic, you know, alcohol that's trying to take over your life and trying to get you back off track, those thoughts are going to come, but they're also going to go. You have to allow them. Don't frustrate yourself with thinking that, you know, God, I got to stop thinking about alcohol. God, I got to stop thinking about my cravings. Oh my God, what am I doing? I see all these other people out here living fine, and I can't believe I'm ruminating and thinking about this. You can't do that. You've got to allow it. All right? Because there's a power in that. Because 1 and 2, it's not going to go anywhere. You know, it's like running from it. You can't run from it. Got to allow it to be there, right? Then step 2 is to reflect. Okay? You want to reflect on what it is in your relationship with this drug or alcohol, with your addiction, and the fact that you still are ruminating and think about it. What is it that you're not doing? This is how you avoid the circle. You're trying to figure out how to push forward. Because yes, it's a straight path, but it isn't an uncluttered one. See, when we say we're walking a straight path, the assumption is you see like this empty road with no obstacles in the way. It's straight, right? But there's fences, there's all kinds of things, right? The law of least resistance. You allow it. You allow it to sit there, but then you reflect. Another word, when you reflect, you analyze it. Anything that you want, if you want to shrink something, the best thing to do is to analyze it. That's why when cops are investigating things, they're greater than the things they investigate. When a scientist is investigating an animal or analyzing something, the person analyzing is here, the thing it's analyzing is down here. Even when you're looking in a telescope, you're looking down at something, right? So what you do is you start to analyze and you start to reflect. Okay, I feel this craving. Why do I feel this craving? What are the obstacles that are getting me, that are in my way, that are causing me to feel this way? What could I do differently? If I don't know what I could do differently, who could I speak to that has addressed this in the past that could tell me how to do differently? Or what could I try? You start to analyze it. You start to reflect on it. Let it sit there, reflect on it. And that's how you start to get power over it. Don't spend time beating yourself over the head. That doesn't help, because you're not being solution based. You're not being solution based. When you start analyzing and you start reflecting, what you're doing is you are searching for that silver lining in that cloud. Yes, looking for it may tire you a little bit, but it's heading you in the right direction. And at some point, you're going to get where you need to be, right? You reflect. Oh, and then the last one, what did he say? You allow. Oh, boom. You make a plan to move forward. You reflect. Reflect is research, analysis, right? Even before putting out a product, what do they call it? R&D, research and development, right? You research something. So if I'm a car manufacturer and gas is getting ridiculous, I may say, okay, I've been building all these cars that run on gas. I need to build a solar, or an electric vehicle. This is going to be our first electric vehicle. All right. Well, I could sit back and ruminate over why I didn't make an electric vehicle last year when everybody else did. But what good does that do me? Nothing. I'll allow that thought to sit there. I'll analyze it. Well, why is it a big deal? Why am I ruminating over this? Well, I'm ruminating over this because I should have an electric vehicle. All right. Well, let me reflect. All right. How would having an electric vehicle benefit me? How would this sobriety benefit me? Yeah, I should have been sober last year, but that's come and gone. Why am I regretting it? I'm regretting it because sobriety would work for my life today. All right, let me reflect on what I didn't do before that stopped me from getting sobriety, right? Or the electric vehicle. And then let me make a plan to attain it. What can I do now? And that's how you go from a ruminating thought where you're just kind of worrying about it, worry and regret. That's where rumination comes from, to getting to a solution, a plan that's going to get you towards a solution. You reflect, and then you head towards your solution. And when you do that, your solution, of course, is getting back to that sober being, getting back to the true self that is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 8:22. The Supreme Lord who pervades all existence, right? Pervade means is everywhere. The true self, your true self is still here. Your spirit is still here. The soul that God created in you is still there. That sober soul that you came to earth with before addiction got a hold of you is still there. You've just got to get through your worldly self to find it, to attain it, and to free yourself from the consequences of the worldly decisions that you had made for yourself. And that worldly decision being depending on your addiction. And how can you do that? Well, you ponder, you think, you allow all thoughts to enter your mind, and then you reflect on them, you analyze them, and then you make a path forward for yourself. That's where in my book I talk about, the steps. You begin, The Black method: begin, learn, act, connect, keep going, right? You begin, you make a choice to say, okay, I'm going to work towards sobriety. I'm not going to ruminate over why I didn't do this last week. I'm not going to ruminate over the fact that I failed at it last week, or the fact that, this is my 8th time trying it. I'm going to decide today to head towards my sobriety. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to learn, right? That's the L in Black. I'm going to learn about myself, about the mistakes I'm making today, the mistake I made last time I relapsed, last time I was reborn as an alcoholic, the mistakes I've made over. I'm going to reflect over that. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn, what did I do over and over again? What I didn't do, what I could have done, right? I'm going to learn from others. I'm going to learn about myself. I'm going to enter that path of self-discovery. I'm going to make a plan, and then I'm going to act on that plan. All right, next time this craving comes up, I'm going to do this time instead of that. Instead of what I used to do, I'm going to try this new thing, right? Or I'm going to not do this thing. I'm going to act on it. I'm going to connect with other people who are successful. I'm going to connect with people who have, good, encouragement and advice for me. Seek proper counsel, right? And if I can do that, I can push forward. If I relapse, then I'm going to hit K, and I'm going to keep coming back. And even if I don't relapse, every day I wake up, I've got to be mindful to keep coming back to sobriety. I'm going to keep on, right? That is all going to be part of my plan. And that's how you get back to your true self, that godly self, that self that the universe, when you showed up here, before your free will kicked in and you made the choices you made, that you're not going to sit a lot of the time regretting, you're going to move and liberate yourself from them. All right. And so these are some of the things I want you to think about. And this is where yoga and aligning, right? Aligning your worldly self with your spiritual self comes into play. That's what meditation is about, is calming yourself and letting all of your worldly thoughts kind of seep out until you're back in alignment with the universe, as you were when you were sent here. All right. So those are just a few things I want you to think about. And remember, it says folly brings joy to one who has no sense, but whoever has understanding keeps a straight course. So you always work to gain understanding. And that's where reflection, right? Allowing your thoughts, analyzing them, reflecting on them, and making a plan comes into play. All right. And yes, trauma, big part of alcohol and drugs. And that's where making a plan with dealing and addressing those traumas comes into play. That's when we talk about the difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety is just not drinking. Recovering from trauma is dealing with, allowing yourself to sit in it and to analyze it, reflect upon it, whether it's, with the aid of professional help, with the aid of an AA group, not running from it, not masking it, which is what we do in our addiction, right? But getting to it, reflecting upon it, shrinking it, taking dominion and empowering ourselves and taking power over it, and then making a plan that can change and adjust, right? And evolve with the times and with the experience, and then moving on and liberating ourselves. All right. So I just wanted to give that to you. I hope it poured into you. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoy. Please, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got to get to 1,000, in order to get monetized and to be able to, so that I can spend more time and invest in growing the channel. I have some aspirations that I'm working towards, and everything helps. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please take the time to do that now. You can just go to YouTube, type Sobriety in Black, and you'll see it. It's the only one title name, Sobriety in Black, on there. Go on, subscribe to it. You can check out the live. Definitely hit the thumbs up. thumbs up, like, all of that matters. All of that helps. I'm not asking for any money. Hey, if you got it, Cash App Sobriety in Black. Hey, we can always get some new equipment, and invest to grow. If, like I said, if you like this or somebody who needs a good word or some encouragement, please feel free to pass it on. All right. I do consultations, so you can DM me. If you, I am a recovery coach, 11 years sober. So, I do consultations. So if you're interested in that, you can DM me on any platform and I'll get back with you and we can arrange that. All right. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope it gives you something to think about. And until next week. All right. Peace.
Back when I was drinking, alcohol was my God, alcoholism was my religion, and an alcoholic was my identity.
And I can never be who I used to be. I'm sorry if you got used to me.
Our history with alcohol, how it's marketed to us, our relationship with alcohol versus other groups of people and their relationship to alcohol is different. And so it requires extra considerations when we're looking at sobriety and recovery. Sobriety in Black is about alcoholism. It's about the DUIs. It's about the wrecks. It's about the revelation. And it's about the recovery. It's about a process that can help anybody gain freedom from their addictions.